getting everything warmed up and going, go ahead and put in the chat where you're calling from, a little maybe about your company, your business, what you guys do. Would just kind of love to hear who you are and where you're from, and we can kind of get this thing started. Honestly, what I'd love to do for the call today or for this webinar is really spend time understanding maybe projects that you guys have going on. If you're tuning in and you've got some sensor project you've been working on or we're working on, we'd just love to kind of open the dialogue up for that and kind of keep it open-ended as opposed to kind of just going through slides and same old. So yeah, if you guys throw in the chat some details on any projects you're working on, information about your company, questions that you have, could be anything. Could be about specific sensors and how they work, could be about top solutions, could be anything that you guys see fit. Would love to kind of hear from you. I know there's a good group of you there in the room. So without further ado, I think we'll just go ahead and get started with a quick intro, and I'll kind of run through who we are, what we do. And we're going to talk about really how myDevices as a company, how we enable businesses to deploy sensors. It's really what we do at the end of the day very, very well. And again, please throw in some info in the chat so that we can keep the dialogue open. If you've got questions as they go, just throw them at me and I'll do my best to answer them kind of on the fly here. But on my screen now, you should see our webpage, and this is our library of over 1,100 IoT sensors that we have integrated into a single software application. So it's single pane of glass to monitor everything. Could be from this Futility hot drop device, which does electrical submetering in a very simple way, the clip-on submeter. Could be asset tracking, panic buttons, occupancy, people counting, leak detection, air quality, predictive maintenance, push buttons, already said electric submetering, trash bin monitoring, whatever you can think of, there's a sensor for. And what we've done is we've aggregated them all into this single ecosystem. And really the reason we did that from the get-go was really just because of the complexity of acquiring these devices. We saw a lot of pain points downstream where system integration companies, MSPs, enterprise companies that were looking to deploy IoT solutions were really tasked with, not only finding these sensors somewhere out in the world, but also ordering them, finding a way to actually get them in their hands. And then once you do get it in your hands, how do you make the thing work? How do you turn it on and make it work? So we've solved for all of that by creating, truly plug and play solutions that combine everything, sensors, what you see here, as well as software. So visualization for all the sensors, no more having to deal with every individual app that comes with every individual sensor. And you've got all these different platforms and you don't know what to do with them, but also no more dealing with taking a sensor and then having to write code to it or program it to point to some IoT platform or application. These come pre-connected, almost as if you were to go buy like Simply Safe for your home, but these are commercial and industrial solutions. They just work out of the box. You plug a gateway in, or if it's cellular, there's no gateway. You just get the sensor, you turn it on, you scan a QR code, and instantly you've got data. And not just data, but solutions, really. Like this is an HVAC monitoring dashboard that's templatized. So if you add in the sensors that we kit up for an HVAC solution, you can put it on your HVAC and start monitoring temperatures and flow rates and filter levels and all of that. If it's occupancy, you can take some occupancy sensors and do people counting inside of rooms or bathrooms to start to optimize cleaning schedules or to enhance space utilization. There's things, sensors for tank level monitoring. There's vibration and predictive maintenance, indoor air quality. Really, again, anything you can think of, there's a sensor for. And we provide solutions that kit up the appropriate sensors, mix and match the appropriate sensors along with the connectivity, and then the software, and everything comes plug and play. So what's that good for? What's the use of that? Well, a lot of different things. You can use this to solve internal business operations. You can say, hey, we want to start doing people counting inside of our business in order to optimize our space utilization. Maybe we don't need so much space in our building. Janitorial companies can use this to optimize their cleaning schedules in bathrooms or in conference rooms or wherever it is. But we've also got the ability through our APIs to integrate data outbound into any app or platform. So this is where it becomes really powerful. If you imagine Power BI and what it's used for today by a lot of companies, there's a lot of analytical data that gets pumped into not just Power BI, but Tableau. There's all kinds of reporting softwares. This is just one example that we use. We've got integrations out of our platform that are predefined. So the same way you can buy a sensor from us, turn it on, and you've got dashboards to visualize instantly. We've also got integrations that allow you to feed that data into other platforms and get data instantly. You don't have to write code to decode or parse or do anything. You can just use these one-click integrations. So think about that from a large scale, being able to go through this library of sensors and really solve any problem that you can think of by monitoring with a sensor. And then within minutes, being able to turn that thing on, have a dashboard that allows you to see the data and gain value from it instantly. So you can see that it's working. You can see that it's monitoring what it needs to monitor. Everything's good. And then within a couple more minutes, now you've got that data plugged into a work ticketing system. So if the HVAC doesn't work properly, send Joe, the engineer, to go fix it, or into Power BI. So like you can see trending reports or do analytics and reporting on it. So there's just so many ways that this becomes extremely valuable. It gets you past what we call the first mile of IoT, which is simply acquiring the sensor, programming the sensor, decoding the data, connecting up to a LoRa network server, routing data, visualizing, customizing. I mean, all of that kind of headache where everybody sort of gets stuck. We remove that friction in a big way. And there's some, large companies out there that are using this technology today. Iwix Connect by Aramark, Sodexo, Brightly, Safety Culture. These are just some companies on our list that are leveraging this technology just quickly because it really enhances and optimizes the way they can go to market with solutions. This platform is completely white labelable, so you can put your logo and colors on it and run it on your own domain. And there are some administrative features that come with the platform as well that allow you to do a certain level of customization and configuration across the board for what you're trying to do, but also device management and customer management and all of that. So it's a full-in tool that allows you to not only deploy solutions quickly, but then take a step back as an admin of the platform, of the product, and of the solutions, and actually do some management of it at scale. So being able to see every single device that's added into the application, and actually being able to see real reports and analytics on those devices. How many sensor readings have we seen in the last week or the last month, and what's the average signal strength, and what's the how many sensors are online, how many are offline. So some analytics back here in what we call the IoT Console, which is sort of the back end portal that allows you to manage your deployments. So we've got a front end, which is white labeled, and you can expose this internally within your own organization, or you can offer it out to your clients and customers, and they would interface with this day to day to see data from their assets. And then we've got a back end portal that allows you to do some more customization, network server management, device management. And you can use this as much or as little as you need to. It's not necessary completely because everything really is plug and play. But if there is customization that you want to do, you have that ability. And when I say customization, there's things like device templates back here. So you can actually edit, make modifications to the way data is parsed and decoded, or the data types that are shown, or the widgets that are shown, the default alert thresholds. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that you can customize firmware updates down to gateways and things like that to, for different device management. So yeah, all of that is available. So really, backing up, what we're doing is providing all of the pieces needed to deploy, service, sell sensor solutions downstream as simply as possible. So any sensor, any manufacturer, any use case comes instantly ready to turn on and work within the software platform. And by the way, this is web and mobile capable. So this is exact app is available on your phone as well. And then being able to integrate outbound into other platforms, and then in the back end, being able to manage at a more technical or administrative level those solutions that you deploy. The other piece of this, a lot of times when we talk about this, we refer to hardware, software, connectivity, and services. Those are the four main things that we're providing. So any sensor instantly into, that's the hardware, into any software, or into, right? So the software that comes with the hardware, instantly compatible, so you can mix match any of those sensors inside of this software, integrate into any other platform that you'd like. Connectivity, so we're configuring and programming and provisioning everything. So whether it's a SIM-based device or it's a LoRa device, we're providing the gateway, the LoRa network server, the SIM card, the connectivity out. So it's all bundled in together. And you can piece out some of these, some of our partners will say, well, I want to use my SIM, or I want to use my LoRa network server. I want to, and that's fine. So all of these, we include everything, but you can kind of piece out, if you've already got kind of your own operation, and part of it, you can use all, some, or a few. Yeah, so that's software, hardware, connectivity. And then the other part that's really important is services. So the other thing that we do, and we've got a warehouse where we inventory the hardware, we pick, pack, and ship, and that's part of our services that we provide, is that we actually have services where we'll drop ship directly to end users, whether it's our direct customers or your customers. And we do things like these styled inserts inside of the boxes. We can build custom kitted inserts that go in here. So maybe this isn't the best video, but I'll go into this kind of quick presentation in here. It's really shows, I think, our managed deployment services, right? So we actually, one of the hurdles in deploying IoT at scale is not 1,000 sensors in one location, but actually one sensor in 1,000 locations, or 2, 3, 4 sensors in 1,000 locations. That's where it starts to get potentially complicated and go sideways. So we've got services available that allow for our partners to simply input a form that would include the name of the device, the use. So is it going in a freezer? Is it going in a refrigerator? Is it going on an HVAC? Is it going on a boiler? Is it going, what is it being used for? The location, the alert thresholds, corrective action notes, things like that. And we actually can import this into the app. And what it will do is actually build the entire account. So it's going to add the locations. It's going to add the sensors to those locations. It's going to build the appropriate dashboards. It's going to set the correct users in with the account with the correct permissions, admin, view, edit. All of that gets set up through this this provisioning form and imported into the app. So that way, when the package arrives to the customer, there's labels and instructions in the box. And when it gets to the end user, they're just looking at it, they turn on the device, and instantly their data is populated within their dashboard. So, as we go along here, there's, custom instructions that we can create based on the right sensor and the use case that we're deploying. So, what we do in terms of a partnership is, it's really, we become kind of the IoT backbone for your business to put you in the game as quickly as possible in a huge way. So imagine being able to go out to your clients, or for enterprise companies, internally within your organization, and being able to say, hey, we've now got a solution that allows us to put any sensor on anything for any use case, instantly visualize the data with dashboards, get that data into our ERP system or our building management system or our analytics report tool like Power BI. And it also can be drop shipped directly to every location with custom inserts and instructions for exactly how we want our end users to engage with the product, to turn it on and make it work. So it's really IoT as a service in the biggest way. Everything, there's different tools that we have underlying that make all of this possible, and we license out the full stack to you and then provide the support needed to go to market with this. So that is kind of the high level overview of the different tools and services and things that we provide to enable businesses to really kickstart their IoT strategy. Typically doesn't start this large, by the way. This is where it gets to. Typically it starts with some kind of POC. You've got one project, you're looking to do bin level monitoring instead of a location, you're looking to do temp monitoring, you're looking to do, customer needs to take their BACnet or BMS or SCADA system PLC and get it into the cloud on a dashboard. And that's typically, where we start. And in fact, we've got kind of a standard kickoff process, and I can kind of show that on one of these. Let's see if I picked the right one. So, and like in a standard proposal that we'll send out on, what kind of happens next, or how we engage with partnership. There's the sensor app and the management console that I went over today, but then there's this sort of kickoff process that takes place where we get into a partner agreement, and there's a setup fee, and a white label app is delivered, and that kicks off this process where we're going to do, first of all, a kickoff call. So, at the end of the day, where we want to get to is this beautiful process where we're drop shipping to customers or drop shipping to your users, and we've got custom inserts, and we've got the right devices and all these templates and everything built. But it doesn't start like that on day one. Day one starts with the kickoff call, and it's where we learn about your company and the projects that you have, and where you want to be in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, a year, 2 years. And we start to build a project timeline that maps back to that. And that's what we talk about, partner goals. That's why that's listed as partner goals. And really the first thing is, okay, let's start picking sensors, because that's the hardest part, is figuring out which sensor do we really need to solve the problem. If we're doing water metering, do we need this water meter, or do we need a pulse meter, or do we need a 420 milliamp? What do we need? So that's where we step in and start to simplify things for you. So what is the project that you're working on? And we work on all kinds of things. We've been on kickoff calls over the course of last month, and I've heard everything from asset tracking of keys on car dealership lots to sub-metering up apartment complexes. They know where the water is leaking or where it's going. Energy monitoring of machines, machine runtime. That's another huge one that we've done several deployments on. How often, if you imagine a factory or warehouse, being able to know how often the machine is running, and if the output of that machine matches the expectation. So is it performing to peak performance? So we'll sit on a kickoff call with you, and we'll start to listen to these customers that you're working through and the projects and their requests. And then we'll come up with a proof of concept kit. We'll say, okay, what we'd recommend is this gateway and these sensors, and get it into the location. And then we'll actually work with you to build the dashboard. I'm not sure if I showed this, but we've got a very simple to use custom dashboard builder that allows you to drag and drop different visualization widgets into a single view, connect it up to all these different sensors. So, eventually what you end up with is a dashboard that looks something like this, that's meaningful and has all the data in one place. And you can templatize this, but it might start as a blank slate with nothing, that we're starting to understand the project and what the needs are. And then eventually we'll fine tune that, and we'll have the right dashboards and the right sensor bundle and everything. And then we'll be able to kind of move beyond the POC and testing and into optimize and scaling, and getting you to deploy that in 100 locations or 1,000 locations, and really kind of ride the wave up. And then starting to add in other sensors, that work off the same platform to enhance the solution or to solve for other problems. So this is kind of the managed support that we're providing along the way, that's included with our partner plan. So I know I've rambled a lot on this. If there are any questions, please throw it in the Q&A, throw it in the chat. Let me know feedback, how you're feeling about this, if this resonates with you, if it's useful. Would love to hear more. Would love to also schedule calls, if anybody wants to get on a one-on-one, and we can discuss your project specifically and see how we can help. We'd love that opportunity to see how we can help you go to market with these solutions. But hopefully the content and the information was helpful. I don't see any questions yet, so hopefully that means you guys are just all totally mind blown. And otherwise, I'll give another minute or two to wait for the questions, and I can throw out some answers. It doesn't have to be questions, by the way. It could be anything. It could be where you could just tell me what your favorite cup of coffee is, or like your favorite coffee shop or restaurant. Maybe we can start with that. First date kind of stuff. But at any rate, hopefully the background and content was helpful. Okay, good. Ruben says it was pretty clear. I must have been so clear that there's just no questions at all. So I can't imagine that there's not questions, but I know on this forum it can be complicated sometimes to go out there and okay, here's one. Make it a hard one, Brad. How much inventory is housed on your end? Great question. How much inventory is housed? We've got a significant warehouse in North Hollywood, and inventory is based on demand because, you know, that we can't be holding tons of inventory of things that we're not moving very often, but we try to be very agile to the market. This industry changes often and new hot things come in. And once we start to read that, then we try to back it up with as much inventory as possible for those solutions. So when it comes to temperature monitoring, which is a very popular use case, just tons of inventory of this temperature monitoring device. Panic buttons, that's another one. There's mandates in hotels that require panic buttons to be given to housekeepers. Tons of inventory on that one too, because we know there's a steady flow of those devices being moved. I can't get my find to work. What's going on here? This is weird. That's so weird. I'm going to refresh this page, trying to show the devices as I'm talking about them. So the the hot drop is another one. We carry a good chunk of inventory on those, and lead times are pretty short anyways. So I would say, you know, for honestly, there's 1,000 devices, half or more of them, not a ton of inventory, enough to, you know, turn things around for small sample orders. And then we work with you to figure out what your pipeline is as we go through that onboarding process and everything. And then we start to make sure that, okay, we can meet those timelines, we can meet that inventory requirement. For the more popular devices, plenty of inventory. We're moving those all the time, and we've got it. But to your point, Brad, on your second question, do you have the ability to show inventory levels? We do. So once you're in our partner program, you get access to the full catalog, available inventory, lead times, and all that stuff we can make available. So yeah, that's no problem. We'd be happy to share that once you're you know, in the partner program, which we can talk about pricing and all of that on a private call. The Axioma water meter has a ready-to-use template on the software. Yeah, that's right. So we've got basically like a template dashboard for water metering. Now, let's pull it up here. The Zoom is really being weird for me right now. Like, it's really affecting my ability to click things on Chrome, and I don't know why. It's so weird. Okay, so I had the water meter dashboard up here a second ago, but yeah, in other words, yeah, there is a dashboard for it available. You can customize that further because a lot of times there's going to be these like specific requirements. I want to see this and I want it to be in this format. You know, everybody's going to have their own kind of flavor, but yeah, there's basically a baseline template, you know, that we can start you with. And a lot of times with water metering too, it's not, you know, Axioma is one, it's its own sub-meter device. But there's also some pulse meters that we can do. So there's an existing meter on the pipe and it's got a pulse output. There's sensors that can go on that. And it would use a similar template because the data is the same. It's just a different way of getting it out. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, I'm trying to get in here. And, oh, you know what? I don't. Okay, I will, in the chat, mydevices.com/ actually, here is a Calendly link I'll throw in the chat. If anybody wants to schedule a call with somebody from our sales team, you can use that link to schedule a one-on-one call to get all your questions answered. That's in the chat now. I know we're at 10:30. So if those of you that have to drop, let me just check the time on this webinar. Is it 30 minutes? Yeah, okay. Feel free to drop if you need. If others have questions, want to start asking them, that's great. But that link in the chat, if you want to schedule a one-on-one call to answer your questions. Sensors for the pulse meter. There's actually a sensor from Dragino. Let me see if I just put that's actually has a pulse meter on it. Might be better to share this with you. Well, let me just see if I can find it. The one that I'm thinking of. But yeah, there's Dragino's got a pulse sensor that just retrofits onto an existing pulse output. That's temperature. It looks something like that. Here, I believe it's a CPL one. Yeah, so it's got this like metered output, so you can plug it into an existing pulse output and do metering of devices. So I believe this is the unit, and then this probe on the output you can change just depending on the pulse output that's needed. So yeah, Ruben, maybe we can jump on a quick call and discuss in more detail. But yeah, it's, something like this is what what we'd be able to provide. And I know it's Dragino that we've used in the other scenarios. So okay, guys, I'm gonna drop. Appreciate everybody joining the webinar. Again, in the chat there is a link, and there'll be some follow-up emails sent as well if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one breakout session. We'd love to chat with each of you and figure out how we can help you guys move forward. And thank you so much for joining today. It was really great to spend the time with you, and thanks for the few questions that came in. Appreciate you guys chiming in. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk again soon, I'm sure.